Last time, on What If Trunks went back in time to save the Saiyans? Although Trunks and Bardock successfully defeated Frieza, his brother Cooler soon showed his face, threatening to take over the world. Meanwhile, King Vegeta ran Trunks and his allies away from planet Vegeta, so no one can stand in the way of him taking over the galaxy thanks to the help of the young Broly. With Bardock presumably dead, Trunks took Granola, Guinea, and all of his friends to the only other place he could call home, and after some encouragement and training, they get ready to return to planet Vegeta and save it from the clutches of Cooler and the King. A savior returns now. Planet Vegeta Invasion. What if Trunks went back in time to save the Saiyans? Part 4. On planet Vegeta, the entire Saiyan race prepares for war. For the past several weeks, the king had been organizing his people, gathering his troops, supplies, and ships. He had planned for his army to deploy soon, so they could invade Cooler's throne world. The king commanded Bardock to train his army into Super Saiyans. Though he refused, his shock collar told him otherwise. Despite the ruthless training, the results didn't impress the king. Out of the entire Saiyan army, only Bardock's squad mates, Raditz and Nappa, had managed to unlock Super Saiyan. The king was displeased but not surprised. At the very least, they had managed to increase the amount of Super Saiyans under his control, with his son leading the elite squad and himself commanding the Saiyan army. In the worst case scenario, Broly should be enough to deal with Cooler. There was only one issue. He kept asking for his father, Paragus. Although the king maintains that Paragus is busy on another mission, Broly was becoming more restless. He was asking questions, and it wouldn't be long until he demanded answers. Perhaps it was a blessing in disguise that Broly was unable to learn and unlock Super Saiyan. Despite all this, the king wasn't worried. He would find a way to take care of Broly once the invasion was over. The king is surprised to learn that Cooler Force ships are heading straight towards them. King Vegeta gasps, demanding to know how much time there is left, as the scout replies that there's only an hour. They were fighting for their lives and their home. Today, the Saiyan warriors will prove their superiority and eliminate the last of their enemies. They would be slaves no more, only masters of the universe. Shortly after his speech, King Vegeta and the Saiyan army watches on as a massive ship envelops the sky. It lands, and entire platoons of soldiers emerge. From the ship, Cooler steps out with a smug expression. The two kings stare each other down.
Let it be known that the Saiyans are indeed merciful. I will only give you one chance to stand down now and bow before me. Surrender your soldiers and your resources to me. If you acknowledge the Saiyans are far superior, you may continue to live in our service. Ha! Oh, I never knew the Saiyans had a sense of humor. I hadn't had a good laugh in ages. I will do no such thing. How about this for a counteroffer? Give up now, and I will make your deaths quick and painless. Sound like a good deal, don't you think, monkey? I refuse. Then it seems we have reached an impasse. You know as well as I do there's only one option left, right? Fine. I was secretly hoping it would come to this. Let there be war. Allow me to show you why Saiyans are the mightiest warrior race. I command you, my people, attack. That's the spirit. Onward, my armored legion. Eradicate the Saiyans once and for all.
The war to decide the fate of the Saiyans had begun. The battle was kicked off by the Prince Vegeta, who ordered his squad to unleash their Super Saiyan aura. Vegeta, Nappa, Raditz, Bardock, Tora, Fasha, Shugesh, and Borgos become Super Saiyans. The greatest team of warriors in Saiyan history had awakened. The Super Saiyans are able to easily handle most of Cooler's legion, wiping out waves and waves of soldiers as the rest of the army advances. Not even Cooler's armored squadron stands a chance. They attempt to control the Super Saiyans, but are torn apart by Raditz and Nappa. Bardock winces at what he sees. He had hoped to never be part of another bloodbath like this again. Here he was, killing once more. Although, what worries him more was Cooler. Had they trained enough to surpass him? In the distance, Cooler sighs as he receives a report from his army suffering devastating losses. It seemed that if he wanted something done right, he'd have to do it himself. Cooler bulks up into his final form. It was time to show these pitiful monkeys what real strength was, as King Vegeta yells out to his army to advance. He sees something heading towards him at incredible speed. His eyes widen as Cooler approaches the king, his foot outstretched. King Vegeta barely has enough time to transform into a Super Saiyan as Cooler crashes his heels against his chest. King Vegeta's crushed into the stone beneath, his eyes nearly whiting out. Prince Vegeta orders his squad to assist the king as the Super Saiyan rushes over to Cooler. The Saiyans swarm around him, locking him down in a barrage of ki blast that shakes the entire planet beneath. However, it was useless as Cooler managed to tank it without any worries. Cooler declares that it's time for the slaughter to begin. One by one, Cooler systematically wipes out every single Super Saiyan from sight. The only ones who remained are Prince Vegeta and Bardock. Bardock sees Cooler ready to launch a death beam at Raditz as his anger erupts, once again entering Super Saiyan 2. Bardock charges at Cooler, with Prince Vegeta following behind. Vegeta, upset upon seeing the Super Saiyan 2 state, reminded him how much further ahead the old man was. No matter what, he would surpass him by defeating Cooler himself, as an onslaught of kicks and punches strike the Space Emperor. He chuckles in amusement. Cooler is impressed at Bardock's growth. He was certainly stronger than he was on planet Cereal. This only means he has to use a slightly more power. Perhaps 50% would suffice? A cold chill went down Bardock in Vegeta's spine. He had to be bluffing, right? There's no way he was holding back this much. Cooler catches Vegeta's punch and Bardock's kick with ease. His muscles bulge out once more. As he crushes Vegeta's hand, the prince roars in pain as Cooler smacks him into Bardock. The Emperor's aura expands as he rockets towards the planet, slamming both Saiyans into the dirt and pressing down. The two were sent hurling through the surface of the planet until they crashed into the castle, causing it to crumble down. Cooler laughs maniacally. So much for these so-called Super Saiyans. Without the support of them, Cooler's Legion manages to regroup and launch a counterattack. They push back the Saiyan army using the momentum provided by their lord to get an advantage. Without their king to give any orders, nor the Super Saiyans to support them, the army was pushed to the brink. Was this the end? As Cooler gloats with glee, he orders his men to fire. The injured Bardock closes his eyes, ready to accept his end, but it doesn't come. Instead, he hears what sounds like clinging metal. He opens his eyes as his mouth drops. Standing in front of him was none other than Trunks, his sword unsheathed, as he deflected the volley of blaster fire back at the Legion. Trunks points his sword at Cooler in determined defiance.
Cooler, this war is over. I won't allow you to kill anyone else.
Again, you Saiyans and your jokes. Do you really think you can stop me on your own, boy? You and what army?
Heh, funny you'd mention that, because I've got an army right here.
What?
Through the smoke and ashes that fill the skies, an armada of ships appear overhead, each one embezzled with the symbol of the Galactic Patrol. Cooler is shocked. How did the filthy Saiyans get assistance from the Galactic Patrol? Leading the patrollers was a single ship with a word so many people were desperate to see: hope. Back on Earth, Dr. Briefs had told Trunks all about his old friend, Jacko, and requested he find him if he needed help. Thanks to Oatmeal, it didn't take long to find the Galactic Patrol headquarters. And though they weren't trusted at first, they listened to Trunks' plea of help. If they didn't intervene in this war, the Saiyans would be eradicated, and Cooler would rule the universe. This would be their chance to save the Saiyans and reform them, to eliminate the Cold Clan's evil once and for all. With Trunks' passionate pleas, as well as being vouched for by Jacko, the Galactic King agreed to offer his support. In the present, the Galactic Patrol ships fire their blaster cannons at Cooler's Legion as Trunks burst into Super Saiyan 2. It was time to settle things with Cooler once and for all. The two strongest beings in the universe clash, their colliding auras generating lightning that strikes across the wasteland. The gap in power between the two was far more than it was before. Not only that, Granola was providing support to his friend as he fired sniper shots at Cooler's vital points. But the battle could go either way. Guinea rushes over to help her husband as the Heaters tell her to pick up Bardock and get out of the way. Bardock can't believe he's being saved by the Heaters of all people, but he accepts it. If a murderous conqueror like him could change, then so could they. Oil and Maki that they can go all out here, taking off their necklaces, their muscle mass growing tremendously, and their teeth turning into fangs, horns growing from their heads, and their eyes going blank. The heaters enter their uncontrollable berserk state, the same form Gas used before his battle against Bardock and Trunks. The siblings rush towards the incoming soldiers, defeating everyone in their path. As Gine takes Bardock away from the battlefield, they reunite with Monaito. The old Namekian says that he may not be able to fight, but he can help in his own way as he heals Bardock. The trio look on at the violence unfolding before them. This really was a war zone. There were heavy losses on all sides, yet Bardock was aware that they were still only alive because of Trunks. If Trunks loses, then Planet Vegeta is doomed. As the Saiyan medics recover, the Super Saiyan squad and King Vegeta, they too look at the battlefield. King Vegeta sweats bullets, his anxiety reaching its peak. Not only was the Galactic Patrol here, but so was that blasted Trunks, and Cooler was still alive. Without any more hesitation, King Vegeta takes out his communicator as he summons Broly. It was time to wipe out the board completely. The roar of an Ozaru is heard as a small figure soars towards Cooler, interrupting the fight as Cooler is punched right in the gut. For the first time in his life, Cooler is caught off guard and left completely winded. Furious, Cooler turns his attention to Broly, eager to kill this brat. Trunks dashes in to support Broly, although he can't do much. Broly was barely restraining himself. Bardock, Gine, and Monaito arrive at the back line of the Saiyan army to provide help to the wounded. King Vegeta is reluctant to receive assistance from the withered Slugman, but after seeing how potent Monaito's healing was, he allows it. King Vegeta and the Super Saiyans are healed, gaining a massive Zenkai boost. After all, they had all just come back from the brink of death. King Vegeta, his son, and the rest charged their ki, speeding towards Cooler with the intent to kill. The Cold was barely able to handle the unrelenting assault. These Super Saiyans were barely able to hurt him before, but now he was really feeling the pain. Bardock yells at everyone to keep on attacking. They are winning. It was now or never. As Broly pummeled Cooler, every Super Saiyan charged their strongest attack. Mouth beams, riot javelins, Gallic guns, and Masenkos strike Cooler in a massive explosion. At first, everyone thought they had won. However, Trunks feels something in the air as he yells at the squad to step back. From the dust, several massive death beams fly out. Bardock, Trunks, Broly, Prince Vegeta are barely able to dodge the incoming attacks. Raditz, Nappa, Bardock's squad, and King Vegeta receive the full brunt of the blasts, their bodies getting pierced as they cough off blood. They each fall out of Super Saiyan as they plummet down to the ground. Cooler hovers out of the dust cloud, his entire body covered in wounds and blood. Yet, he survived, as he was absolutely livid. Cooler declares that he's had enough of these games. He would use 100% of his power to bring this war to an end. Cooler bolts towards Trunks, punching him in the stomach and wrapping his tail around his neck. In an instant, he appears before the Prince and Bardock, elbowing them in the back of the head. Cooler blasts the pair and throws Trunks onto the ground as he raises his hand. An explosion of ki erupts from beneath them, scattering everyone and utterly destroying the battlefield. The blast was so intense, Broly temporarily leaves his wrathful state as he looks around at the carnage. Cooler approaches the boy as Broly prepares to defend himself. However, Cooler raises his hand. He doesn't want to fight him anymore. Now that he can clearly look at him, he recognizes him from the reports. He was King Vegeta's secret weapon, his ace in the hole. He asks the young boy why he works for that foolish king, as Broly quietly replies, "Because my father told me to." Cooler grins gleefully. Was that really true? When was the last time he had seen his father or even talked to him? Broly looks at the ground in confusion. From the rubble below, King Vegeta sees what's happening as he starts to panic. He yells desperately at Broly not to listen to him, but it's too late. Cooler motions to one of his minions to come over, requested him to hand over their scouter, as Cooler clicks a few buttons in it.
You know, Broly, my forces intercepted several encrypted messages from the Saiyans' receivers. I believe you'd be very interested in hearing these messages for yourself. Wouldn't you like to know the truth about your father, young Broly?
No, stop it. Put that scouter down, Broly. That's an order, Broly.
With mounting curiosity, Broly grabs the scouter. He presses on it, and the recording starts to play. Several months ago, King Vegeta had sent Prince Vegeta and his squad to a far-off, distant planet to retrieve Broly. A few years ago, the king had banished Broly as he was afraid of his power. However, now that he was aware of the existence of the Super Saiyans and the defeat of Frieza, King Vegeta wanted to have a powerful weapon under his control. When they landed on Vampa, the prince and his squad encounter Paragus alone in a cave. The man was shocked to see the Saiyans, especially the prince. However, before he could call out for Broly, Paragus was immediately killed by a single punch from Vegeta. They had received orders to retrieve Broly. No one else. When Broly returned to the cave with more beetle eggs, he was surprised to see 3 strangers. Nappa and Raditz convinced Broly that they had come to rescue him and his father. They were sorely missed back home. When Broly asked where his father was, Nappa said that he was already on his way to Planet Vegeta. He said he would meet him there very soon. Without much convincing, Broly departs Planet Vampa with Vegeta's squad, not realizing his father's tragic fate. The final words from the scouter comes from King Vegeta as he tells his son that they will use Broly as much as they desire until they have no more use for him. As the scouter's recording ends, Broly can only shake in rage. His father was murdered. The king and his so-called saviors had lied to him, and they planned to get rid of him when they didn't need him anymore. Broly grabs his head, screaming into heavens as his hair flares up into a golden hue. Broly's power soars uncontrollably, unlocking Super Saiyan, unleashing it to the horror of everyone watching, except for Cooler, who merely laughed. This Saiyan would do his dirty work for him now, and destroy the planet. He wouldn't even have to lift a finger. Now Broly's at a crossroads. Will he be the doom of Planet Vegeta, or its greatest defender? Next, what if Trunks went back in time to save the Saiyans? Thanks for watching, everyone. This episode was edited by Rajmain and largely written by Professor Chimp. Thank you for your help again. And the thumbnail was done by Brandon_edits. This one was a lot of fun to make, and the next part will be up next week if this one gets 3,000 likes. So be sure to hit that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and click the bell icon so you never miss the best Dragon Ball stories out there. This video wouldn't have been possible without you Patreons. So thanks to all of you. And remember, you get to watch videos like this early if you join the 3rd tier. So shout out to you guys: Zachary Carlock, Mika Liley, 3 Kaiser, Ricardo Rodriguez, Shane K, JP Law, Angel MR, True Lightning Striker, Squad 100, Ghost 1571, PJ 90 the 3rd, Lee Urquides, Daddy Bear 103, Orange Bag YT, Trent Rolls, Demon Plays 22, Jim G, Jerome Foster, D Miles, The Gaming Galaxy, Dakota Kaiser, Salil Paranjape, Keith Grimes, Celestia, Dreadpool, and Samuel Randall. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed, and until we meet again, see ya!